Hi guys, welcome to today's video. Today's video I'm doing a makeup guide. It's the first part of my series towards beauty. I'm talking to you about the different kinds of foundations you can use, what they do for what skin type, and how each foundation work, how you could use different types of products. Just in general, a beauty guide. Let's start off with talking about foundations. I have a couple of different types of foundations that I really like, and I'm now just gonna kind of show you how they work and what they do. I'm going to describe to you basically what they do. First one is Essence Hydro Hero. This is good for people that don't want a heavy base, that don't want anything too cakey, anything that is too visible. It's kind of like a barely there consistency. It is very delicate, as you can tell. Applying it on my hand here, and it's like, it's not too runny. It is pretty thick, but it's barely there. It gives like a lightish coverage. The next one I have, which I use kind of for mixing in with my foundation to give it a bit of a glow. It's Lumi makeup. It is very dark. I like to mix it in with my foundation to give it a luminous effect. Or I kind of like to use it as a Lumi bronzer as well. It works like that. But it's really good for luminous skin. Like, look at how luminous it looks. Next one is the Catrice HD Liquid Coverage Foundation. This is full coverage, full. Well, it's full coverage on most people. Isn't very full on me because of my skin type, but this is what it looks like. It is actually quite runny. It's quite liquidy, but it is very full. Now, bear in mind, these are all kind of different shades. Don't mind that. Next one is also a matte. It's matte. It's the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Foundation. It's been one of my favorites for a while. It is matte as well, and it's the lightest shade. These are all neutral. This is very pink, but they all look like. So this is the Hydro Hero, this is the Lumi, this is the Catrice, and this is the Wet n Wild. Now, I'm going to remove all this off of my hands, and I'm going to show you which one I would use on a daily basis for myself, obviously. But whichever one you think would be the best for your skin type, use. Lumi foundations are really good for, or like BB creams are really good for if you want a barely there effect. They're also very hydrating, so I would recommend definitely using them. They're definitely great for people with dry skin. I love this one as well. The Hydro Hero is amazing if I do a good base. Now, I want to talk to you about the bases I use for my foundation. This is how I prep my skin. I start off with a bit of face cream. Whichever face cream you like the best, but I like to use a lightweight one because the more lightweight it is, the better. It just works better for skin. Next, I like to use a anti-redness pigment base. And I just blend that into my skin. If you don't have redness, you can obviously skip this step. Use whatever primer you think would suit. For people that have dry skin, I'd use a moisturizing primer. People that have red skin, green primer, or this anti-redness one. People that have oily skin, use a mattifying primer. People that have a lot of pores, pore filling primer. Also use this No More Red anti-redness primer. It has hemp oil in it as well, and it is very green. So I apply the tiniest amount on my skin. I'm gonna do this in the mirror. I'm gonna go in with my Hydra Hero because I really want to do a very dewy look today. I'm going to take a beauty blender and just kind of dab it in the product. Beauty blender is also good for applying foundations, but I feel like a brush. I just like to do brush first and then beauty blender over because it just blends it into the skin nicer. I'm just applying a tad bit more foundation right here on my cheek. We're going to go on to concealer. Now, concealer, half a shade or 1 shade lighter than your skin tone. And apply a tiny bit here and a tiny bit here. I apply a tiny bit on my eyes, tip of my nose, a tiny bit on the bridge of my nose as well. Right here. This is the best concealer placement for any kind of skin. Just want to come in here saying the reason I'm doing a lighter concealer than my foundation is to brighten up the under eye and brighten up certain parts of my face. This is always a good technique. This concealer is a tiny bit too bright for me, but I will make it work later on in the video, you will see. These are all drugstore products I'm using, by the way, guys, because I just prefer drugstore products. I have never bought anything expensive. I have bought something expensive before, but I just think that drugstore products, you can find something very good still. And so I'm now going to just powder my under eyes with that same mini beauty blender. I'm using the MUA Pro Base powder. And this is actually a powder foundation. For first time makeup users, I wouldn't recommend a powder foundation because it is not translucent. It gives off color like a normal foundation would. Have to make it match your skin. I would recommend using a translucent powder which has no coverage, doesn't give off any color payoff, but still sets the face beautifully. Now, for bronzer, I'm going to put my glasses on for this because I don't mess up. I always mess up my bronzer or any sort of cream product. So, for bronzer, there are 3 types of bronzers: liquid, cream, and powder. What I like to do is I take a cream bronzer. Now, this one, I'm aware looks very dark, but I take a cream bronzer. These look very similar, to be honest, in colour. This one's more cool, this one's more warm. I'm going to take the warm one today. And I'll show you the placement. I'm first going to do a tiny dot right here. I'll apply it a tiny bit higher than my actual cheekbones because I prefer it that way. Take a brush and I just start blending it out. Just lightly blending. Don't stop blending very vigorously because you could disturb your foundation. Now, the way I'd say is creams are really good as a form of bronzer. Like, creams are one of my favorite forms of bronzer. I really like it. But I do set it, I don't apply too much because I also set it with the powder bronzer. And I try not to go too low down because I don't really want to drag my face down either. I'm just kind of blending upwards rather than downwards. And next, I do the same thing on my forehead. Just apply a couple of dots around my forehead. Just about that much. And I'm just blending it out. Next, I'm just going to take that same brush because I just don't really want to be disturbing my, I don't know, I might take a bit more fluff. Take a fluffy brush and just kind of set the powder bronzer with the cream bronzer with the powder bronzer. Just applying as little as I can, just because I don't need too much bronzer. I'm already bronzed enough, but I'm just setting. And it's the best thing to do, set a cream bronzer with a powder bronzer instead of an actual powder, because the actual powder can kind of just not disturb, but like it takes away the color. Sometimes I feel like that's why I over bronze, because I'm going to be maybe powdering a little later if I want to. And I'm just lightly dabbing kind of higher up on my cheeks. There we go. Kind of gave me a little bit of a lifted face. Next, I like to take blush. Blushers, there are many different types of blushers. There's matte, there's satin, there's cream, there's shimmer, which is I use most of the time. And I just apply it like right here. I wasn't trying to go for a lifted face, but it turned out I did, so don't go too far down. At least 2 fingers before your nose, like your nose. So this is because if you go too far down, you're dragging your face down and you're making yourself look older. I'd even go up on your temples if you want. Now for highlighter, you have to go for the super blinding highlight if you wish. You can. I don't tend to go for a super blinding highlight because I just don't like super blinding highlights. But I mean, if you wanted to, you can. I'm trying to find a highlighter brush. Highlight. Let's go with this one. It's not a super blinding highlight. It's just kind of like, well, it kind of is slightly blinding, but it's not crazy. It's not crazy. Tip of your nose is always great. And then your cupid's bow. The area above your lip. Now, I'm going to talk about the eyes and eyebrows and lips in a completely different video. I'm just showing you how to do the base really well. I'm now just going to take the powder puff, which I used at the beginning, and just kind of pat everything in with it, just to kind of give it a little bit of a more blend together, and whatever's left over on it, don't apply any product onto it. Whatever's left over, it should just kind of blend it all together. And you should look very natural, because this is very natural. I try to apply very little product. Don't go too heavy, don't go too crazy. That's why I use this BB cream. And I think this makeup is really nice. Now, if you want to see me do the eyeshadow, how to do a simple eyeshadow look that you can easily turn into a glam look if you need to, because I am going to be showing you how to turn this into a glam in some other video, then go ahead and carry on. Maybe subscribe so you can be there to watch the other part of this series. But this is how I do my base. Usually if I want something delicate, light, and not too crazy. I'm going to insert a clip showing you properly what the makeup looks like. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up, subscribe down below if you haven't already, for more beauty and makeup tips on this channel, as well as gaming videos, because they're gonna stay. See you in my next video. Bye guys.